Where are we today, Phil?
St Andrew's Church, Plymouth. The reason we are here is because St Andrew's is one of the few structures that was here during the English Civil War and is still standing to this day, except for some bomb damage. After the dissolution of the monasteries, when all the church property and lands and money passed to the Crown, Queen Elizabeth in 1572 gave Plymouth its right to pick its own vicar for what people like Drake, Hawkins and Raleigh did for the town, bringing money into the town and sending it to the Crown and filling Elizabeth's coffers with gold. So she gave us our right to pick our own vicar. Now, this went well until 1634, when Henry Wallace, the old Puritan minister for the church, died. Now, naturally, with what Queen Elizabeth said, the mayor and council of Plymouth sent up the name of Alexander Gross, their choice to be vicar of St Andrews. Charles I, who was then king, refused this nomination, so we sent up another name, Thomas Ford. Charles I refused this as well, and he decided to send one of his own people down, Dr. A1 Wilson. Now, this infuriated the puritanical people of Plymouth, who didn't want anything to do with Catholicism back in their church. Wilson was sort of middle of the road. He was leaning towards Archbishop Laud's way of running the church. So this brought a lot of problems to Plymouth. They butted heads. The parishioners and Dr. Whittam butted heads a lot of the time during the 1630s. Wilson started off alienating the council of Plymouth by refusing the councillors their own pews. This had happened all the way up until now. He refused them. They couldn't have their own pews. Then he objected to the markets to the east of the church. He said the smells were bad, the rubbish was in the streets, left there, too many bad people, drinkers. And to the west of St Andrews, the hospital, the Orphans' Aid and the Hospital of the Poor portion, he hated that being there. He said, why is that place so close to the church? We're hemmed in by markets and Orphans' Aid and Poor portion. Didn't give any regard to the poor children in there. Then his sermons, a lot of his sermons were sort of anti-Puritan, and this caused a lot of problems. When civil war came to Plymouth in 1642, Dr. Wilson was arrested and sent to Portsmouth as a prisoner. Plymouth had a new vicar, George Hughes, who would stay in St Andrews until 1662, when he was arrested by Charles II, under Charles II's orders. So that's the reason St Andrews, one of the reasons why Plymouth sided with the king. I'll tell you more when we move on to the next site.
What was Plymouth like, though, in those times?
It was a small, busy little port. Not a big town. It came up sort of towards where Charles Church is now. That was the limit of the town boundaries. And it went down as far as Princess Street, back to the Barbican. It had gates in the town. It had a number of gates up to the north of the town, which were used to take tolls off people for coming in and out of the town. It wasn't well defended. Most of our defences faced the sea, which I'll be talking about later. But there's an interesting little story about St Andrews. In 1642, the council had to pay a beadle. The church wardens had to pay a beadle as like a night watchman to protect the church, to stop children smashing the windows with stones. So vandalism in those days, it's nothing changed. I just thought I'd like to get that little story in because it makes an interesting read.
Thank you very much, Phil.
Thank you.